Welcome to today's meditation. The topic is Pure Potentiality, and I am drawing upon the writings of Deepak Chopra and Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson. What's interesting, before I quote the two of them about this idea of pure potentiality, is that it is a very relational concept because it seems to, within its own self, merge two things: that which is uncreated and that which is created. And you could argue, if you wanted to get into some mental gymnastics, where is potentiality in that? Is potentiality a creative principle, or is it the way we're speaking about the uncreated? I think it would have to be both, wouldn't it? And I'm not addressing this topic as though it's in relation to actual. That would be a whole nother discussion, potential versus actual. So let's set that to the side. Let's take a look at the raw potentiality, because our evolution is happening in a field of potentiality, if you agree with all the principles that are going into this meditation series, which means that the flow, the affluence of in and out, is taking place as a mysterious part of an uncreated source, an agency that's uncreated and yet is somehow in form as well, for it shows up as flow. And potentiality is living in the flow in such a way that we become the agency of creating our lives from a carefree joy and love place. There is a quality that I would say is a harmony in nature, because it's part of the natural movement. And our lives lived to the full could be said to be a life well lived, a life that is, in lay terms, successful. My first quote from Deepak comes from his 7 spiritual laws of success, and that's his play upon success, because we have this way within our society we talk about success, and he's pulling that word into the spiritual realm. And he sees success as an expansion of happiness and a realization of worthy goals and the ability to fulfill your desires with effortless ease. That's pretty juicy, right? And we get into law of attraction with that and instant manifestation. But we need to go a little bit deeper with this, right? And the start point for going deeper is talking about the realm of potentiality, its construct, if you will. And I'm going to read Deepak's quote on this. When you discover your essential nature and know who you really are, that knowing itself is the ability to fulfill any dream you have. And the more you experience your true nature, the closer you are to the field of pure potentiality. When you experience the power of the self, there is absence of fear. Your true self is actually free. So there is a part of you that is already free. But what I love, especially in his quote here, is this: as we experience our true nature, we are closer to the field of potentiality. So in a way, he's saying, if we are fully in our true nature of what we are existing in and as the field of pure potentiality. That could be really destabilizing, right? And to add a little bit of a complement to this is a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. He says, There is nothing capricious in nature. An implanting of a desire indicates that its gratification is in the constitution of the creature that feels it. Much more intellectual or philosophically worded statement of the same thing that Deepak Chopra said. Now, I actually looked up capricious because I had a sense of the word, but I'm like, well, what does that actually mean? It means sudden and unaccountable change. So capricious would be like unexpected in an unstable kind of way. And he's pointing out that in nature, there is nothing capricious. And therefore, since we are part of nature, when a desire arises within us, the gratification of that desire is written within the desire in our being itself. We're called to be dreamers. We are dreamers. We are dreamers, right? That's what this points to in some ways. And dreamers, how often have been ostracized in community? Oh, you're just dreaming, like it's a pipe dream. Oh, that's so beyond you. Or, boy, that person's a dreamer. They're not in the real world at all. And yet this is pointing that the way to the real world is in the field of pure potentiality. If you're inclined, where do you have a question about this? Pause the recording and sit with that. Where is there a question about this? Do you really understand what pure potentiality is? You know, it's interesting, when I was in high school, I went through, as many of you know, 2 years, well, close to 3 years, but 2 years in high school, of a really dark night. And during that dark night, I moved into a place where I didn't even want to commit to what my room looked like. So where many teenagers are getting really attached to things, a certain kind of music, a certain style of dress, a certain ideology, my first navigating this dark night within me, this confusion of who and what I was, and that was to keep things completely undefined. Now, that's part of my nature as an Aries, because as an Aries, there's a piece in me that butts against being put into a box. You're this and you're not that. Like, don't label me. That's a natural. I've softened around that and matured where I can handle it. But I used to have a really big reaction inside. But on the positive side, because I was a no to so many of the limited definitions, I didn't know what I was a yes to. I remember in my room, I didn't even want a bed. I had a mattress on the floor. My walls were completely white. And I had one poster, one thing I could really sink my teeth into. And it was one of those felt posters that they made back in the 70s and 80s. And it was of Jim Morrison. And it was probably a glow in the dark, right? Because they had the black felt, but then it had areas that had color. It was probably glow in the dark. And I'm like, I can identify with that. Break on through to the other side, and all the provocative songs and writings of Jim and the Doors. That was the one thing I could say yes to. Everything else I was a no to, because I didn't know it was true for me. So my relationship to pure potentiality in a way was really good, because it opened me up to a lot of magic and a lot of transformation. But in another way, it also caused me a lot of pain, because I wasn't able, I didn't have the skillfulness or the maturity to navigate it without a lot of wanting to land somewhere. So where I had the tension of not being able to land anywhere, and I had that goodness and that truth, I simultaneously had angst about wanting to land somewhere and not being able to. I caused myself a lot of suffering. If I had been able to just stay in this inability to land anywhere and know there was truth in that and just stay the course, I would have let my path be so much more kind and gracious to myself. But instead, I was in angst. I wasn't grasping. I wasn't running away from. I was doing kind of both, but neither at the same point. So I had issues within myself around the pure potentiality. You can see that it had some goodness and it had some immaturity to it. What about you? Where do you land on all of this? Can you open in a new way to your true nature so that you can be connected to the field of pure potentiality in a fresh way? This is what Lent is all about. This is what the season, if you have any Christian in your background, this is what the season is about. And honestly, if we look at the life of Jesus as he's walking down this path, he was so connected to the path of pure potentiality that he was in the flow of miracles rushing through him. There's even some historical evidence to support the idea that the bringing back of Lazarus from the dead happened right before his passion. Maybe not a week before, but very close, which would say that he was very intimate with the field of pure potentiality at that point as a healer. How can you step into the field of pure potentiality today? So what we're going to do to open ourselves to this experience is we're going to do a form of the pineal gland meditation that we did back in December. Different form, but the pineal gland is considered in many traditions and in aspects of science at this point too, to be the place of potentiality that connects us to the divine, that is in its spaciousness. So that's what we're going to do today. So with that, I invite you to close your eyes and bring your focus to the breath. Keeping your focus upon the breath. Let the breath now bring your gaze up and down your spine so that as you're inhaling up the spine, and as you're exhaling descending the spine. You're activating the Ida and Pingala channels that run like a DNA strand that run up and down the spine. You're balancing yourself, stabilizing yourself so you can open to the energy that you are. Inhaling up to the crown, exhaling down to the base. I'm going to invite you to follow my count. We're going to inhale and exhale to a counting method. So after your next exhale, exhale completely, focusing on the base of the spine. And now inhaling. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the crown. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the base. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the crown. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the base. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the crown. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the base. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the crown. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the base. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the crown. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the base. Inhale, big. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sip in more air. Big, big, big inhale, holding at the crown, and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, big. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sip in more air, holding it up at the crown. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, big. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up to the crown. Hold in, pull in more air. Focus on the crown and the middle of the brain. Pulling that air up in, pulling, pulling, pulling. Hold, 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 hold. Hold for as long as you can. And only when you cannot hold any longer, exhale to the count of 4. And after the exhale, inhale big. 2, 3, 4. Pulling it up, sipping more air. Pulling that air up into the brain and the crown of the head and the middle of the skull. And hold for as long as you can. Hold, 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 hold. Keep holding and only exhale very slowly when you absolutely need to the count of 4. Move at your own pace now, pulling the air out up the spine, the focus up the spine. Big air holding in the brain and the skull and the crown of the head. Holding, 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 all at your own pace for as long as you can. And exhaling slowly only when you need to. And continue this 3 more times, all at your own pace. Once you finish the 3 rounds, let your breath return to its normal rhythm and just come into the spaciousness of your being. you're ready, open your eyes with namaste. Namaste.